get started. First up, Avon, you have 10 votes. How do you cast them?
Avon Town is going to bounce Republicans out of office in the next municipal elections. Votes as follows. 5 votes for Donovan, 3 for Estate, and 2 for Roberti, and no others.
Avon casts 5 votes for Chris Donovan, 3 votes for Elizabeth Esty, and 2 votes for Dan Roberti. Thank you, Avon.
Avon!
Bethel, you have 9 votes. How do you cast them?
Mr. Chairman, the town of Bethel will cast 1 vote Donovan, 5 votes Esty, 3 votes Roberti, no other votes.
Bethel casts 5 votes for Elizabeth Esty, 3 votes for Dan Roberti, and 1 vote for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Bethel. Bethlehem, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Bethlehem casts 1 vote for Dan Roberti and 1 vote for Chris Donovan.
Bethlehem casts 1 vote for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Dan Roberti. Thank you, Bethlehem. Bridgewater, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Bridgewater counts 1 vote for Estes, 1 vote for Donovan.
Bridgewater casts 1 vote for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Bridgewater. Brookfield, you have 7 votes. How do you cast them?
The town of Brookfield casts all 7 of its votes for a great speaker and great future Congressman Chris Donovan.
Brookfield casts all 7 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Brookfield. Burlington, you have 5 votes. How do you cast them?
Burlington casts all 5 votes for Chris Donovan.
Burlington casts all 5 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Burlington. Canaan, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
The town of Canaan casts 1 vote for Chris Donovan.
Canaan casts 6 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Canaan. Canton, you have 6 votes. How do you cast them?
The picturesque town of Canton on the Farmington River cast 5 votes for Elizabeth Esty and 1 vote for Chris Donovan.
Canton casts 5 votes for Elizabeth Esty and 1 vote for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Canton. Cheshire, you have 13 votes. How do you cast them?
Cheshire proudly casts 13 votes for our favorite daughter and my mother, Elizabeth Esty.
Cheshire casts all 13 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Cheshire. Cornwall, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Cornwall, the greenest community in the state of Connecticut, cast 1 vote for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty.
Cornwall casts 1 vote for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Cornwall. Danbury, you have 27 votes. How do you cast them?
Mr. Chairman, Danbury proudly casts 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty, 1 vote for Dan Roberti, no votes for Randy Gale, and 25 votes for our next Congressman, Chris Donovan.
Danbury casts 25 votes for Chris Donovan, 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty, and 1 vote for Dan Roberti. Thank you, Danbury. Farmington, you have 14 votes. How do you cast them?
Hi, what are the votes? 7 votes for Donovan, 7 votes for Esty, and I just want to thank the best town committee in Connecticut, Farmington.
Farmington casts 7 votes for Chris Donovan and 7 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Farmington. Goshen, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Goshen, the land of milk and honey, casts both of its votes for Elizabeth Esty.
Goshen casts 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Goshen. Harwinton, you have 3 votes. How do you cast them?
Harwinton, 3 votes, Chris Donovan.
Harwinton casts 3 votes for Chris Donovan. All 3 votes. Thank you, Harwinton. Kent, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Kent casts 2 votes for Dan Roberti.
Kent casts all 2 votes for Dan Roberti. Thank you, Kent. Litchfield, you have 5 votes. How do you cast them?
Litchfield, the most beautiful town in Connecticut, gives 2 votes to Chris Donovan and 3 votes to Dan Roberti.
Litchfield casts 3 votes for Dan Roberti and 2 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Litchfield. Meriden, you have 28 votes. How do you cast them?
The
The great city of Meriden, home of the beautiful Daffodil Festival, welcomes the next congressman for the 5th District for the state of Connecticut. We cast all 28 votes for Chris Donovan.
The great town of Middlebury proudly casts all 3 of its votes for Chris Donovan.
Thank you, Middlebury. Morris, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Morris proudly cast all 2 votes for our next U.S. Congressman, Chris Donovan.
Morris cast all 2 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Morris. Hard Hitton, you have 34 votes. How do you cast them? You were.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear you. The great city for all people has 34 rank and file Democrats led by Mayor Tim O'Brien voting for Chris Donovan.
New Fairfield casts 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty, 2 votes for Chris Donovan, and 2 votes for Dan Roberti.
New Fairfield casts 2 votes for Chris Donovan, 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty, and 2 votes for Dan Roberti. Thank you, New Fairfield. New Milford, you have 12 votes. How do you cast them?
New Milford, 7 votes for Chris Donovan, 2 for Miss Esty, and 3 for Roberti.
New Milford casts 7 votes for Chris Donovan, 3 votes for Dan Roberti, and 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, New Milford. Newtown, you have 13 votes. How do you cast them?
Newtown casts 1 vote for Elizabeth Estes and 12 votes for Chris Donovan.
Newtown casts 12 votes for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Newtown. Norfolk, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Norfolk votes 2 votes for Chris Donovan.
Norfolk casts all 2 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Norfolk. North Canaan, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
North Canaan casts 2 votes for Esty.
North Canaan casts all 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, North Canaan. Plainville, you have 9 votes. How do you cast them?
Plainville casts all 9 votes for our next Congressman, Chris Donovan.
Plainville casts all 9 votes for Chris Donovan. Plymouth, you have 5 votes. How do you cast them?
The birthplace of Ted Knight votes 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty, 1 vote for Chris Donovan, and 3 votes for Dan Roberti.
Plymouth casts 3 votes for Dan Roberti, 1 vote for Chris Donovan, and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Plymouth. Roxbury, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Roxbury is proud to cast its 2 votes for Chris Donovan.
Roxbury casts all 2 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Roxbury. Salisbury, you have 3 votes. How do you cast them?
Salisbury caucused, and we have 2 votes for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty.
Salisbury casts 2 votes for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Salisbury. Sharon, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
Tranquil, Sharon, Connecticut, cast 1 vote for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty.
Sharon casts 1 vote for Chris Donovan and 1 vote for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Sharon. Sherman, you have 2 votes. How do you cast them?
The town of Sherman casts its 2 votes for Chris Donovan.
Sherman casts all 2 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Sherman. Simsbury, you have 13 votes. How do you cast them?
Simsbury gives 7 delegates to Elizabeth Esty, 6 for Chris Donovan.
Simsbury casts 7 votes for Elizabeth Esty and 6 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Simsbury. Southbury, you have 9 votes. How do you cast them?
Southbury casts all 9 votes for Dan Roberti.
Roberti. Thank you, Southbury. Thomaston, you have 4 votes. How do you cast them?
Thomaston cast 3 votes for Chris Donovan and 1 absent.
Thomaston cast 3 votes for Chris Donovan and 1 vote absent. Thank you, Thomaston. Torrington, you have 9 votes. How do you cast them?
Torrington cast all 9 votes for Chris Donovan.
Torrington cast all 9 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Torrington. Warren, you have 1 vote. How do you cast it?
Tiny but mighty town of Warren casts its 1 mighty vote for Chris Donovan.
Warren casts its 1 vote for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Warren. Washington, you have 3 votes. How do you cast them?
Washington casts 2 votes for Esty and 1 for Rivera.
Washington casts 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty and 1 vote for Dan Roberti. Thank you, Washington. Waterbury, you have 42 votes. How do you cast them?
Waterbury cast 22 votes for Roberti, 14 for Donovan, and 6 for Esty.
Waterbury cast 22 votes for Dan Roberti, 14 votes for Chris Donovan, and 6 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Waterbury. Watertown, you have 9 votes. How do you cast them?
Watertown casts all 9 votes for Chris Donovan.
Watertown cast all 9 votes for Chris Donovan. Thank you, Watertown. Wilkett, you have 7 votes. How do you cast them?
The town of Wilkett cast 5 votes for Chris Donovan and 2 for Elizabeth Esty.
Wilkett casts 5 votes for Chris Donovan and 2 votes for Elizabeth Esty. Thank you, Wilkett. Woodbury, you have 5 votes. How do you cast them?
Woodbury, once again, the last town in the 5th district, casts our 5 votes, 3 for Elizabeth Esty, 1 for Dan Roberti, 1 for Chris Donovan.
Woodbury casts 3 votes for Elizabeth Esty, 1 vote